We're gonna do a 6-year historical financial data analysis for past periods. And we're gonna do a 5-year forecast for the future periods. And of course, some analysts prefer to have shorter forecast periods like 3 years or 2 years. It all depends on the situation, the company they're analyzing, or their investment time span, or the industry the company is in. It all depends. Sometimes it's 3 years, sometimes it's 5 years. In some industries, we need 10-year forecast, but 5 years, I would say, is most typical. So that's what we're going to do for this company as well. So we're going to come to row H11, and we're going to start from year 2018. Which is going to look like this. And the next year would be simply 2018 plus 1. Of course, we can always use date formats for the timeline bar as well, but that is slightly more complicated, and as we do not have any plans to calculate IRR or NPVs, something that requires a real date format, we're going to keep it simple at this moment, and we're just going to focus on the financial modeling itself. So we're going to keep it simple. We're going to simply just going to insert 2018 and then 2018 plus 1. We're just going to copy this across to column R, press Ctrl R, and create 6 years of historical data and 5 years of forecast years. We're going to write historical on top of 2018. So historical. And for the future, we're going to write forecast. In addition to that, we just want one more feature to our model. We want to add it. We're going to add the compound annual growth rate, the CAGR. We call it the CAGR, and it's very useful to analyzing, especially revenue growth. And lastly, this part, as I mentioned before, is going to be the notes. Of course, we're not going to leave it this way. Usually the historical year periods contain alphabets like this, and A stands for actual. So it means that these numbers are going to be actual data from the past. Typically for forecast, they have alphabets added like E, sometimes they have F, sometimes you can see P. E is for estimates, F for forecast, P for projection. It literally means all the same, so you can choose whatever you want, but usually E or F is more common, so we're going to stick to that. Let's choose the historical years. Control 1. Let's go to numbers. We want to assign a custom format, so we want to go to custom, press tab just once more. We're going to insert a 0, which represents just an ordinary number. And we're simply going to add the alphabet A to the back. And this A has to be surrounded by semicolons. Let's press enter, and we get to the desired format. For the forecast, Control 1 just once again, tab, let's go customs. This time E, F, or P, whatever you prefer. We're going to go with E. For the compound annual growth rate, we want to save one column for the historical CAGR and one column for the forecast. That is the most traditional way of presenting CAGR, but due to COVID-19, well, compound annual growth rates has been distorted a lot, especially for the historicals. So these days, the trend is that sometimes you can see financial models with a lot of columns for CAGR, simply because we want to see the periods without COVID, the periods after COVID, or the periods that just include COVID and the effects related to it. But as the Botox industry did not suffer that much from COVID-19, we're going to just keep the CAGR columns simple. So we're going to do a historical CAGR. So historical 5-year CAGR, it should start from 2018. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 18 actual to 23 actual would be the historical CAGR. And for the forecast, it's going to start again from the actual data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to start from 23 actual to 28 estimates. We have historical and future CAGR columns ready. Now all we have to do is some simple formatting. So again, let's color the cells Alt HH. And choose the dark navy color just once more. I'm going to change the font color to the color white. Alt HFC. Control B to make it thicker. And we are going to add some white lines in between. So when we're adding lines that are not black, we're going to go to Control 1. We're going to choose borders. We're going to choose the color white. We want to choose the inside borders and the left border. Remember that we chose a white color, so no matter what we press, it's not going to actually be shown as a display on this pop-up. But let's just trust ourselves and let's just press inside just once and then left just once. Let's press OK, and it should create white lines that look like this. Now we should merge these cells, but again, merging cells is basically the last resort. So we learned our alternatives. We're going to go to alignment. So Control 1, let's go to alignment, tab. Let's choose central cross selection so that it looks nice. For forecast as well, press F4 to repeat what we have just done before. For compound annual growth rates as well, F4. Sadly, Microsoft Excel did not create a function to do the same thing vertically. It only works horizontally for some reason. So sadly for the notes, we do have to merge the cells. So we want to go to Alt H and MC for merge and center. We're almost there. These two cells are the only cells that are aligned to the left. So we're going to align it to the right manually. So Alt H, align right, AR. So Alt H, AR is going to set these two cells to the right. Our basic unit is going to be dollar terms in millions. So we're going to add a parentheses. We're going to simply write units in US dollar millions. US dollar millions. Okay, so it seems like we're ready to use this format. Let's change the sheet name to format. So Alt H, O for format, and R for rename sheet. So we're going to select the R. We're going to change the sheet name to format. Let's just use our mouse, just this once. Let's send it to the far back of our spreadsheet. We're going to copy the exact same sheet twice to the front. And how we're going to do that, we're going to press the Control key and drag the format sheet to the front. We're going to do the exact same thing just once more, Control, and drag it to the front. And now we can see we have created 2 copies of the format sheet, and we're going to leave the original format sheet at the back just in case we need it, just in case we have to create additional sheets for analysis or for forecast or scenario analysis or something like that. So we're going to leave it here. The first 2 sheets, we're going to change the names. The front one, Alt H O R, we're going to name it model. So this is going to be where our income statements, balance sheets, and the cash flow statements are actually going to be modeled. So it's going to be our main primary sheet. For the sheet title, let's now type in 3-statement model. Actually, let's change the font size to 12. And tragically, because we've already copied the other sheets as well, we have to do this twice more. So F4 on this sheet as well, so that our font size is equal to 12. For consistency, we ought to move to our format sheet as well and change the font size to 12. Back to our model tab. So now the model tab is good to go. For the second tab, we want to change the name to EBIT. So earnings before interest and tax, Alt H O R, EBIT. This sheet is where all of the items related to earnings before interest and tax, so in other words, revenue, cost of goods sold, selling and general administration expenses, where all the most critical drivers for the operations will be created. It's going to be done in this particular sheet. So we also want to change the names as well. So let's write operating profit EBIT. So now we have 2 brand new sheets ready to go. It looks nice and it's formatted in a way that we can perform our financial modeling much more efficiently.